Our weekly tradition segment here on Arizona Illustrated. Our host is folklorist Jim Griffith. Dr. Griffith heads up the Southwest Folklore Center at the University of Arizona Special Collections Section. Tonight, Big Jim focuses on a very tasty Southern Arizona tradition.
Listen. That sound, the sound of hands patting out tortillas, has been a daily part of the Mexican world for centuries. Tortillas made of corn masa are the staple of Mexico. Today, here in Arizona, there are still women like Doña Nicolasa Jones who make the ancient style of corn tortilla almost daily. Some things have changed, of course. Doña Nicolasa buys her masa, her dough, as a mix from the store, rather than soaking the corn and grinding the meal by hand, as she learned to do as a girl. But the tortillas, a link with the pre-Columbian past, are still there.
Pues yo nací en Tamiapa, Sinaloa, pero me crié más para arriba de las sierras. Cuando ya me vine a la ciudad, ahí hacía yo tortillas para vender.
I was born in the hills of Tamiapa, Sinaloa. When I went down to live in the city, I made tortillas and food to sell.
For Mrs. Jones, tortillas represented a way to support herself and feed her family. But they exist on a deeper level of her life as well.
I had to eat one tortilla a day because when I don't eat tortilla, I don't feel well. I get excited and I go out and I come in and what happened to me? And I come in and eat tortilla and I don't know for what.
For Doña Nicolasa, as for so many Mexicans of her generation, tortillas are el pan de cada día, the daily bread of the Bible. It's no accident that during the Mexican Revolution, a short-lived National Catholic Church used corn tortillas in Mass. And speaking of the church, it was a Jesuit missionary, Father Eusebio Francisco Quino, who first brought wheat seeds into this area in his saddlebags, thus making possible another kind of tortilla, the huge flour tortilla that is unique to this part of the borderlands. Mrs. Matilde Santa Cruz makes these regional specialties regularly for her family.
Pues yo soy de Sonora, de un pueblito llamado Imuri, Sonora. Y como mi mamá pues tenía mucha familia, éramos 12.
I'm from Imuri, Sonora, and my mom had a big family. We were 12 brothers and sisters. My mom made a lot of tortillas every day, like this. She'd give us masa, and we began to make them like her, and we liked it.
Mis antepasados, mis abuelos enseñaron a mi mamá a nosotros, nosotros a los hijos. Es una cadena que nunca se va a cortar.
My grandparents taught my mom taught us. We teach our children. It's a chain that'll never break.
For these women, tortilla making is indeed a chain, a deeply satisfying way of linking with their heritage while at the same time providing food for themselves and their families. But we're all living in a changing world, and not all of those who would eat and serve tortillas have the skills and especially the time to make them. As is so often the case, technology has responded to that need with an innovation. The Tortilla Factory.
It's 140,000 dozen, I think it is, somewhere around there.
That's just corn?
And just corn tortillas in one day's production. That's just a guesstimation.
That's Frank Martinez, Jr., store manager of La Suprema Tortilla Factory and grandson of its founders, William and Artemisa Garcia. La Suprema, still a family business, started in the 30s when Mr. Garcia began selling his wife's cooking and her tortillas to workers in downtown Tucson. Now it's a huge mechanized operation, but the machines can only do so much. At points in the process, successful tortilla making depends on the knowledge and skills in the heads and hands of skilled employees. Which brings us right back to the notion of tradition.
I love coming out here into the front and watching somebody when they're grabbing a tortilla and they're putting a little beans on it and a little rice and they put it in their mouth, and the expression on that's thanks I get. When they get that light in their eye and it's like, damn, this is great. It's like, yes, I did good. You know, it's like, and you have to thank the people that come before you.
Tortillas, both corn and flour, are being made in huge quantities nowadays. But the vital parts of the process, stretching the tortillas de harina, for example, have to be done by people, individuals who are part of a tradition and a regional culture, as well as company employees. You probably don't move to Tucson from Boston and get a job making flour tortillas. But you know, tortillas aren't just to be made. There's something else, something important you do with them. You eat them.
Here we are in El Sarape restaurant. Tucson, we all know, is a multicultural community. A vastly multicultural community. Cultures adapt. For years, Jewish people who keep kosher have been unable to eat tortillas because most tortillas are made with lard. Not here. These tortillas are, in fact, kosher. The kitchen is inspected by a rabbi. There's no meat product goes into the tortilla making. And so this is another way in which things change, in which culture changes to respond to stimuli. But of course, you can eat tortillas for lots of things, but you can also use them to cook with. You can take these tortillas, corn tortillas, and soak them in salsa and roll them around something wonderful and bake them. They're called enchiladas. You can wait until they get a little bit stale, and you can fold them and fry them, and they're called a taco. And tacos can be rolled too and not fried. You can wait until they get quite stale and make chips out of them. That's what you do with your stale tortillas at home. Restaurants, of course, make chips specially. They make the taco shells. They keep their tortillas, corn tortillas, for a night so they dry out a little bit, but they're made specially for the purpose. Or you can keep your tortilla flat and fry it, and you have a tostada, and then you heap all sorts of wonderful things. And you can talk about them, and if you talk about it long enough, the talking makes you hungry, and then there's always something you can do about that.
All those dishes were made from corn tortillas. But how about the big wheat flour ones?
When we talk about flour tortillas, the big flour tortillas, of course, we're talking about something that's absolutely regional. If you take a big flour tortilla and wrap it around something, you have a burro, or a burrito if it's a slightly smaller flour tortilla. If you take that and fry it, you have a chimichanga. And a chimichanga is a completely local invention. Somewhere between Phoenix and Caborca, Sonora, the chimichanga was invented somewhere around the 30s or 40s. And it's absolutely local. Now, let's not stop there. Look at this, the way this chimichanga is presented with the colors of the Mexican flag: white, red, green. There's more to food than just eating. There's culture there. And that's the neat thing, of course. But the eating isn't too bad either.
It's becoming clear that tortillas have meaning beyond their use as food. One local restaurant, in fact, La Parrilla Suiza, uses tortilla making as a kind of public display, validating its product by presenting a visible link with tradition. Most restaurants, however, either buy their tortillas from a factory or make their own back in the kitchen, like Tanya's on Grande, where the work starts around 4 in the morning. By the time the restaurant opens at 6:30, the tortillas are hot, fresh, and ready.
You've already seen how they make the tortillas. Those are the same tortillas that you get in your burritos. We use the same tortillas for all of your burritos and just to eat here.
With all this talk of culture and eating, we can't forget that tortillas are business, too. which of course is one of the reasons they flourish so well here in Tucson.
We get all kinds of clientele. I mean, we don't just get businessmen or neighborhood people. We get everybody, and we try to have we try to make it worth the drive from whatever part of town you're coming from. Really, you know, that's our philosophy is like, you don't have to call ahead to order tamales, or you don't have to call ahead to order tortillas, or you don't have to, you know, any of that stuff. We try to have everything ready when you come in.
So that's a glimpse of tortillas in Tucson. They are food, business, art, and tradition, all patted out and cooked on a stovetop. They are different things to different people, and may be moving from a daily staple to a special food of identity for many Mexican Americans. But they are a vital and exciting part of Tucson's culture, and they do serve as one of the important links in the chain of tradition. A chain that connects the past with the present, and so on into the future.
Folklorist Jim Griffith has written the introduction for a new guide to some of the 90 of the city's approximately 150 Mexican restaurants. On Saturday from 2 to 6, Dr. Griffith will join Susan Mayals, the author of Tucson Mexican Restaurants, for a book signing at Borders Books and Music, located at 4235 North Oracle Road. A number of restaurants featured in that new book will be providing food.